Hey, same shirt, same t-shirt. It's nighttime. I did a couple this morning. I did one about telling a story, and I did another one about abstract painting. And there's a I guess you'd call it an epilogue to the abstract painting one that I want to do tonight. So it's 6:15. Cheers. Yes. Lefroy Select, Smoky and Peaty, Isle, from Isle, the bottom end of Scotland. Very, very strange place in the winter. Okay. I'm wearing a Basque beret tonight. The people of Catalan, the Catalonias, many painters come from there and they think in very strange ways. And a lot of people don't understand the humor of the Catalan painters. And I had a friend who was a Catalan painter in Mexico. He was exiled because he was an anarchist. He was not allowed to return to Spain until Franco died. And his homeland, Catalunya, he returned when Franco died. I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot about painting. Not my painting, but the way he painted. He was also an assistant to Miro and Calder at the same time, as they were very close friends, Miro and Calder. And they were really wild, wild boys. So he had to try and round them up constantly. At any rate, this morning I was telling you this story about trying to paint an abstract painting, and it was really hard. It's not an abstraction of nature and mountains and like Cézanne stuff and all of that. This was an abstraction of space. You just have a two-dimensional space with measurements. You divide it and you put colors and relationships and you try to make it happen abstractly. You're not talking about anything else, just the relationship of color and space. And it was very hard to get there because all of my growing up as a child and as a teenager and in college and my training, and I had studied the masters and I tried to copy some of them. I got into copying Rembrandt and Michelangelo, and I learned Michelangelo's charcoal technique. And an art critic, I did one on an old piece of newsprint that aged terribly, and 30 years later, an art critic thought it was an authentic Michelangelo. I'm giving myself a compliment? No, I'm not. It's past that. Anybody who thinks that doesn't understand what I'm trying to get at, which, at any rate, I was really trying to make an abstract painting, and it was so hard. And I did. After I destroyed a landscape painting, somehow I was able to actually paint my first true abstract painting. Now, it was influenced by Rothko, which is fine. Hey, what are you going to say? I'm original. I make things that have never happened in the history of mankind because I am a genius. Great. That's not a genius. That's a deluded moron. Pardon me, any of you deluded morons that think I just insulted you. So I was influenced by Rothko. I thought he was an amazing painter. I thought the vibrations of his color fields were amazing. And this was influenced by Rothko. And all it was two fields of color and a border. And the fields of color were a soft reddish hue and a greenish blue hue. But what I was trying to do was to make the greenish blue hotter than the red. How do you make a red cool and a bluish green hot? That was my challenge. So I had a show in 1977, and it was in the show. And the At the show, the gallery owner came over. It was a very nice show. Everything shows in nice galleries smell really good. The people all showered and shaved and all the hors d'oeuvres. So the owner of the gallery came over and said, there's a man looking at your painting and he wants to talk to you and I think he wants to buy it. And I went, okay, I'll go over and talk to him. And there he was, he was maybe 50 years old. He had a very dramatic mustache and beard, all combed out. And he said, I can't believe you don't even know me. I said, well, of course I don't know you. So? He said, you captured exactly my profile in your painting. And I looked at him and I thought, I don't even want to turn around and look at my painting. This is the first abstraction I've ever made. And what is he talking about? I'm talking to a lunatic. So I turned around and I looked. And he said, look. And I looked into the blue-green field. And there's a word in Italian. It's called pentimento. And pentimento refers to underpainting. That when you look at a painting, you can see something the painter had been doing in order to get to however he got to the surface. There's memory underneath there, and that's called pentimento. And I looked, and I didn't even, I never saw this before. There was a profile of a person in that field of abstraction, and it was him. If I would have copied his profile with a perfect charcoal cut line, it was him. And I looked and I went, oh my, it's true. I see it. He said, you didn't see that before? I said, no, it's a pentimento. I had scumbled a field with a darker color and then I varnished over and then I started to layer with a fan brush a layer of transparency. And I never thought, I just saw it as a scumble. He said, well, I'm going to buy your painting. I said, great. I fine. He said, what were you trying to do? I said, this is my first true abstract painting. And he bought the painting, and I went back to the studio and I worked in pure abstraction, or almost pure abstraction, very close to pure abstraction, for probably maybe 3 or 4 years. And then I had to go back to figurative work. I could not continue to work in pure abstraction. I just have too many things to say about what goes on in my mind. It's not even a critical decision. And that's it. That's my epilogue. Cheers.